Hi there guys, this is Farmer Bob. Welcome back to my channel, man. Great to be back guys with another video on map making. Today is basically just a fresh look at Farmland. I did make a video or two in the past on Farmland, and I've done a mighty lot of them on my map conversions. If you haven't watched my map conversion series, so there is ample video footage on Farmland, but I thought one of the subscribers has been struggling with Farmland, understanding the process of Farmland and how it works and how to set it up from scratch. So I thought I'll do a fresh look on that and try my best to explain how it works and how to set it up. So let's give it a bash and see how it goes. But before we do that, if this is your first time, a warm welcome to you. Do remember to just pause the video now and just take a second or two and just hit the subscribe. And if you do like my content, do hit the bell for notifications, as well as hit the like if you like it, man. Why not? Good. Right guys, so Farmland, what I've got here set up for us is one of my start maps, just in my mods folder, and my start map is already loaded, preloaded with a environment. In other words, it's got a terrain on it, and then also some foliage on it and everything, and two fields that I've just quickly painted. It's not something to look at, it's just for explanation. So at first, let's just have a look on how Farmland is set up in the game, how it operates. So you have a map i3D, which is your actual map. Now this map i3D is your map that brings everything that you need in-game together into one place, which is called the map, and that is the map i3D. Now in there is a setup for info layers. Now info layers are the things that we paint in the editor to determine different types of things. So I'm going to show you the info layer for Farmland. If we go Control F and we go Farmland just to search for it, you'll see there's the info layer. So this line here gives an ID for Farmland, and it also gives a directory where your Farmland is located. So that is how Farmland is pulled into your map, via this line. And then you can also go to the Farmland section. This is the actual info layer that is set up in the map, in the i3D. This is the i3D, guys. So when you open your map in the editor, it uses this setting here, or this setup here, to set up your info layer for the Farmland. Now the info layer is in a directory, as we saw just now. It's in data, and then the info layer is info layer farmlands.grle. Now what this is a single layer that just describes for the game where you want the farms to be located on the map. That's all it is. It's a thin layer that is dropped over your terrain, and when you paint in the editor the different farms on it, this is how you set it up. You actually paint in the editor, you paint the different farms. Now if we go back to this, I just want to show you the Farmland info layer, how it's set up. Now by default, if you go to the in-game maps, there will be 63 of them. Now you can put here any amount of farmlands you want, but it will only accept, the default map will only accept up to 63 farmlands. So if you want more of that, you have to up the channels, all right? And to up the channels, you must make this the num channels higher. So in other words, you go to 10 in there, as well as your Farmland XML. There's also a place where you make it to 10, all right? So that will give you more than enough farmlands to paint down. All right, so let's not make that what the video is about. The video is just to explain how to use the Farmland. So you type in here, if you don't have, when you have a map, there should be farmlands set up here. So this gives you the option in the editor to go up to 44 farmlands. So if you want more, what you will do is you will copy a few, Control C, and you will add it here at the bottom, Control V, and you will go 45. So all you do is type in 45, 46, 47, 48, and 49, and 50. So now we have 50 farmlands available to paint in the editor. So this setup here of this info layer is only the farmlands in the editor. It's not the farmlands. Well, you can say it's the farmlands in the game as well, because it's in the map i3D. But what defines these farmlands for the game is the farmlands.xml. So the XML tells the game what happens on these farmlands that you've painted in the editor. So there's the three things. It's the farmland in the i3D. It's the actual painting of the farmland in the map in the Giants editor. And then there's the farmland XML, which defines what is on this farmland and who owns it. All right, that's ownership of the farmland, is the XML for the game. So the XML does not get used outside of the game. However, we need to set it up for the game. All right, so I hope I've explained that clearly. Right, so now we can go and oh, I forgot to change these numbers here too, I see. So you have to change the value as well as the farmland. Remember that. So the value is the ID for the farmland, and then the number of the farmland in here will be 45. I just want to quickly do this. 46 and 47. I'm just going to delete the rest, not waste a lot of time. So now we have 47 farmlands. All right. So now we're going to open our map and just have a quick browse at it. But before we do that, let's have a look at the XML for farmland. In this case, the farmlands will only have a few. Let me have a look. Did I now open the correct farmland? It is for my start map, yes, farmlands. So here is the 44 farmlands that's set up, all right, for that XML. Now, because we've added how many more? We have now 44. So we need to add 45, 46, and 47 as well in here to make it work in game. Otherwise, the game will not recognize, and you'll have farmland errors. All right, so the same thing again. Grab one line, copy it, and then just add 4 more. So it's 44, 44, 45, 46, and 47. And now what happens is, how this works, you've got a price scale of 1, which is 100%. This is how the farmland gets set up in game. So this price scale tells the game how much the farmland is worth. So 1 will be 100%, 0.3 will be 30% of the value of what you've set up here, 50,000 per hectare. And remember, I said to you, if you want to up the farmland numbers, how many you can use, you have to do the num channel. So you go to 8 here, and then or 10 here and 8. Or 10 here and 10 in the R3D. Here you have to do that num channels here as well. All right, so you go to 10 here as well as 10 in the num channels here. All right, so then you can put more than 63. Now, farmland is basically like in real life. When you go into real life and you look at a farm, so every one of these farmlands is one farm. So the farm will have an owner, somebody who owns it, the property, and on that farm you'll find various fields. In other words, you can have 10 fields on a farm, you can have 1 field on a farm, you can have 100 fields on a farm. So it doesn't matter, you set that up in the editor, how many fields you want on that farmland. So the very first thing you probably do in your game is just paint all your fields, make all your roads and everything, and then only do you paint the farmlands, because then you can divide which farm you want where and how many fields you want to include in the farmland. So that is your best option. Do your map, do the layout, do the roads, do the fields and everything, set it up, and then you paint in the farmlands. That's what I normally do. It works best that way. Otherwise, what you're going to do is when you're in the editor, I'll show you now, you can't see where the farmlands is when you are in foliage mode or texture paint mode. You cannot see the farmlands. So it's much better. You can, however, see the fields and the roads when you are in the editor and you want to paint the farmlands. So that's why I say leave the farmlands for later when you've got the layout done. All right. All right, so here we are now. So that's the price scale. And then the owner is NPCs. That's in-game players. So each farm you set up an NPC. Even your default farm needs an NPC, because when you go into the starts from scratch modes, there need to be an NPC that takes over that farm, that area, because then you don't own it anymore, but the computer owns it. So these are computer players, and in FS22 there are 15 of them. So you can decide which one of the 15 NPCs gets the owns that piece of farmland. All right. And the NPCs, if you go into game, I can quickly show you my map. For instance, if we open my map XML, you'll see NPCs will be in this map. You can decide. There are 3 in-game NPC setups. So I'm going to just go NPC. No, not NBPC, NPC. I've got butterfingers today. There we go. So this NPCs XML is from the map Alpine. So I can now choose my map which set of NPCs I want to use. Now what NPCs are is that little men or little figures of people that you get in the contracts. Those are NPCs. They are computer generated players that farm with you on your map. And there are 15 of them in 3 different maps on the in-game setup. So let's quickly have a look at that so you can understand where that comes from as well. So if you go maps, let's go map US and then open the NPCs for map US. There we go. Then you have name. You can take this NPC XML, put it in your map, reroute that line in your map.xml to take this NPC that you've copied into your map, and then you can change the names. So you don't have to use these names. You can change the names, and you can even change the characters. So there you go. You can put new portraits. The trick with the portraits is you need a photo of a person. Sorry guys for the big noise. I don't know, somewhere something fell off. I don't know what that is. But anyways, it's little portraits or pictures of a person like you see in the contracts. If you go into your in-game contracts, you'll see little pictures there with a person, and then that's the person's name. And these needs to be 256 by 256 DXT3 or 5, I think. But try any of those, and if you get an error that it needs to be DXT1, then you go to DXT1 when you export the DDS file. It needs to be a DDS, and it needs to be, though it says PNG, don't worry about it. It's always PNG in this format on the XMLs, but it's actually a DDS file. And then you just reroute this line to your little pictures, and then you've got your own pictures for your little men. I even made the video on this setup as well, if you want to have a look at that, how to change your in-game characters or farmers. All right, so this is the NPCs. All right, so this sets up the 15 of them in your game that owns the farms on your whole map in the Farmlands XML. So that is what this NPCs are. So NPC number 7 will be NPC number 7 here. It will Adrian Hooper. However, this is the map US. So the characters differ. So in the US, you've got US citizens. On the French map, you've got French guys, and in the Alpine map, you've got Swedish guys. You know, so that's the 3 different setups you've got. So European style, and so it's all different names and different icons and different pictures. All right. So there's just some background info on the farmlands. Now, when you look at your farmlands now, so that then determines which person or in-game farmer owns what land. All right, so you set up and you don't have to have 47. If you decide to only paint 5 farmlands in your map, then you delete the rest here in the XML. You have to delete it. So if you only painted 5, you will delete the rest of them here. You do not need to delete them in the i3D here. These you can leave. These are just options. It's not it just gives you the option to paint them in the editor. So it's not the setup here. The setup is actually here. This is where you set it up. So if you've painted 5 in your map, then you delete the rest. If you painted 20, you delete the rest. You can't leave them here. You'll get an error in game that your farmlands is not set up, and probably your map won't load. If you have farmland errors, your map won't load. It will just get to a point and it will hang there with a farmland error if you open the console, you know. So that is what it is. All right, so let's save that XML, and now we can finally go into our map itself. Now I'm going to show you how to balance the XML with the map. All right, so now we're going to open the map R3D and start painting our farmland. Now currently this map that I have set up here has only got one farmland painted over the whole of the map. Now I always tell the guys, do that, because if you forget to paint one little picture, one tiny little not a picture, a pixel, then you will get a farmland error that not all pictures has been painted. So what you will do is you will zoom out totally, grab your farmland info layer there, and you'll see now if you press Ctrl R, it will display your farmland that's currently painted. All right, wherever your icon is, or not the icon, that the cursor. So what you do then is, I just want to take the rest of this stuff and just minimize it. We're not going to do foliage, texture layer painting. We're not going to do that. All right, so what you'll do then is make your brush big. All right, so go to a big size. This is a 2x map, so I think 1200 will be more than enough. Make it square, and there it is. And then you paint down the whole layer a few times. Just like clicking there, it will paint the whole thing white. Now white means that you've painted that layer that is selected. If you go to Farmland 2 now, for instance, and make this much smaller, you can now paint Farmland 2 here. You can paint Farmland 3 somewhere else. But now I've got Farmland 1 that is painted over the whole map. You see, so I haven't got any pixels that are not painted. So that is your first step there. Paint the whole map first with Farmland 1. And then what happens is I normally leave my Farmland 1 and I name it here in the XML as unused or whatever, you know. So all you do is you'll grab a line like this, drop it in there, Control V, and then just write there unused, like stuff that you're not going to use, like maybe roads or stuff that you don't want to buy, roads or water or whatever, factory or stuff that you don't need to buy, you know, like for instance a BGA or whatever that you don't need to buy or want to buy or want to be bought, you know, or want to be used, you know. So then guys, so now you've painted, I just want to go back here to Farmland 3 and just finish paint that. So now I've got 3 farmlands painted, 1, 2 and 3. All right, so what you'll do, I've got 2 little fields down here. Just for an example, there's a road coming here and there's a road here. So normally what you'll do is grab a farmland. So let's go to farmland number 4 and go to a round brush this time, because we're now finished with the whole thing. Where's the round? There it is. And then I will use the road as a border. So I will paint this farmland like that. And I'm just not going to do the whole thing, but I'll just set up this farmland now for farmland number 4. And then I'll go to farmland number 5 and do on this side. And what I'll do is I'll use the road. I'll show you now. I use the road as the border, and make sure that you paint the whole thing. All right. So now we can go zoom in closer and have a look at the road. You can actually distinguish the road between the foliage. There's the road, and I've painted my. So if I want to come back on the white a little bit, it's protruding here into this farmland. So I go Control R on this one. So now the white one is the one you always work with. So now I can just make this one nicer. You see, to make a sure border there on the road. And that way I don't have to worry about missed farmland, you know, with missed stuff. But if you do miss 1 pixel, it's not a train smash, because Farmland 1 has got you covered, you know. So that is the main thing that you want to consider. And tip that I want to give you is paint the whole map first, Farmland 1, and then start mapping your or painting your farmland in farmland layers from 2 onwards, you know. And then once you've worked through all the farmlands, you don't have to work through all of them, like I said. If you paint up to farmland 20, for instance, and you see, oh, I've painted my whole map now full of farmlands, like you've painted the whole map full of farmlands after you've done 20 of them, then it doesn't matter. You just delete the rest in the XML only. You don't need to delete it in the i3D. Just leave them in the i3D alone. All right, so now we've got our farmlands painted. Save it up. You save the map, obviously. So now your farmlands is painted, and your XML now defines all the farmlands. Now I've painted up to farmland 5, so I'll now delete the rest of them in here. All right, so very important, delete the rest. And do remember, I've actually now forgot, I want to copy this default form property, because this is the one thing that you need to remember. Is your farms that you start with, your start farm. In other words, when you start a new farmer mode, you own a farm already, because it's got a farm and a house and equipment or whatever. So that one you will need to set up here as your default farm property. So you add that value there, and it will make that your default farm, for instance 5. So farmland ID 5 in my i3D, which I can now view. If I want to know where farmland 5 is, I can go back into my i3D and find farmland 5. And you do it this way. So once the map is open, I'm going to show you how to easily find farmland 5. If you have a ton of farmlands, it's difficult to figure out which farmland is which. But the moment you select farmland 5 here from the drop down, you go to info layer. The one that is white is your farmland that you've selected here. So that's how simple it is. This is the info layer paint mode. So you select the farmland here. That is the actual terrain paint mode there. And then you paint that info layer. All right. So what you're doing here is you're adding to the info layer the information. So I'm going to save this. Let me just paint this thing properly. I see I didn't paint it properly. I don't like things that doesn't look good. Just an example, guys. All right, so back, sorry for that. Back here, if you now want to have a look at this, I can close the map. Want to close this as well, and then open my GRLE converter just to show you what the info layer looks like. You do not need to do this, but just to clarify what the info layer is, it is a layer that describes where the farmlands are painted, and the XML pulls that here. There's the info layer. So the XML loads this, and it adds this information here in the game to that farmland. In other words, it assigns farm ID 1 with NPC player 7, and it gives it a price for that farm, and it gets where that farm is from the info layer here that you've painted. All right, so what we do is the following. I'm just going to convert that info layer for you to see what it looks like. So if you look at it like this, it won't look like much, but when you open it, it's very dark, but you can slightly see a little bit there. Just want to zoom in. I hope you can see it there where you've painted farms, you know. So so basically that is what your farmlands will look like, or the layer looks like. It's different colors. It won't be shades of colors, but it will be a shade of black and white, you know, in between. Grayscale is what they call it. So that is what it looks like. So just want to delete that again. And then, so the game reads this and knows where which farm is from this info layer. The XML sets it up with a price and an owner. And that is basically how you do your farmland in game. All done with 3 different things. It's the i3D, the info layer, and the XML. So that tree sets up your farmland. I hope I've explained it properly, and maybe a bit better than my previous video. So it's an attempt to sort of give you some more information on how it is. All right. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a great and awesome day. I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers, man. Remember to like and subscribe. And a big thank you to my Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. Take care, guys. Cheers.